Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I take this opportunity to wish you, all members of the House, all our public servants and all of our armed forces a very happy Christmas and all the best wishes for 2018. And could I pay tribute, Mr. Speaker, to our very hard-working National Health Service staff, many of whom, unlike us, won't get a break this Christmas. Is the Prime Minister satisfied that the National Health Service has the resources it needs this winter?
Prime Minister.
First of all, can I join the right honourable gentleman? He refers to those NHS staff who will be working very hard this Christmas and who won't get a break at Christmas. Of course, it's not only our NHS staff who will be working hard this Christmas, it's also our emergency services and many others who go to work on Christmas Day so others can enjoy their Christmas Day, and we thank all of them. He asks about preparations for winter. I can say to him the Health Service has prepared more extensively for this winter than ever before. These plans are helping to ensure safe, timely care for patients. As it happens, those aren't my words. They're the words of the Chief Executive of NHS providers.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, Mr. Speaker, Sir Simon Stevens did say the NHS needs £4 billion next year just to stand still, and the reality is the government has given the NHS less than half of what he asked for. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister talks about the money the NHS needs, but in the 50,000 people were left waiting on trolleys in hospital corridors last month. Last week, more ambulances were diverted to other hospitals because of A&E pressures. 12,000 patients were kept waiting in the back of an ambulance because there was no room at the A&E. So ask the Prime Minister again. Has the NHS got the resources it needs this winter to deal with this crisis?
Prime Minister.
To the right honourable gentleman, he knows full well that NHS funding is at record levels. And in the autumn budget, we put some extra funding in to the NHS this winter, in addition to the £6.3 billion extra that is going in to the NHS over the coming years. But time after time again, the right honourable gentleman will come to this House and complain about what is happening in the health service. Can I just say to him, can I just tell the House what is happening in the health service? We see now 7 million more diagnostic tests than 7 years ago. 2.2 million more people getting operations. And survival rates for cancer at their highest ever level. Now, those are figures, but what does it mean? What it means is more people getting the treatment they need. It means more elderly people getting their hip operations. And it means that today there are nearly 6,500 people alive who wouldn't have been if we hadn't improved our cancer care.
Jeremy Corbyn.
Mr. Speaker, in the first 3 weeks of this winter, 30,000 patients were left waiting in the back of an ambulance for more than half an hour. These delays risk lives. If the NHS had the resources it needs, you would expect it to be meeting its key treatment and waiting time targets. So can the Prime Minister give us a cast-iron pledge that all of those targets will be met in 2018?
Prime Minister.
What we are looking to do in 2018 is, yes, improve the standard of care that we provide in our health service and ensure that we can improve on those figures that I have just given him, that we do see more people being treated in our health service, that we do see better survival rates for our cancer. That's why we have been putting the extra money into the National Health Service. But it's not just about putting extra money into the National Health Service. It is about ensuring that we see the proper integration of health and social care at grassroots level. That's what the STPs are about in many areas, opposed by the Labour Party. It is why we've lifted the cap, so we see more nurse training places opposed by the Labour Party. This is about ensuring that we have the staff and the capability in our NHS to deliver the first-class, world-class service that our NHS is. We should be proud of our NHS. We are, and we're going to make it even better.
Jeremy Corbyn!
A&E waiting time targets haven't been met for 2.5 years. Cancer treatment targets haven't been met for 2 years. Our A&E departments are bursting at the seams because the government has failed to ensure that people can get a GP appointment when they need one. The government promised to recruit an extra 5,000 GPs by 2020. Where are they?
Prime Minister!
We are seeing more GPs. We are seeing more training places for our GPs. But if he wants to talk about targets, if he wants to talk about what we see on targets, he talks about A&E. Well, let's look at what has happened in Wales on The standard on A&E in Wales was last met in 2008. Now, let me just think. Which party's in government in Wales? Is it the Conservatives? No, it's the Labour Party in government in Wales. On cancer care, the standard was last met in June 2008 in Wales. He should look at what the Labour Party are actually delivering before he comes to this House and complains.
Jeremy Corbyn!
Speaker, the Welsh Government relies on a block grant from England which has been cut by 5% by 2020. Yet despite that, in Wales, 85.5% of cancer patients start their treatment within 62 days, higher than is achieved in England. Mr. Speaker, my question was about GPs. Perhaps the Prime Minister is not aware there are 1,000 less GPs than there were the day she became Prime Minister. It's not only the lack of GPs. Another issue, Mr. Speaker, that's driving people into A&Es are the £6 billion cuts made to social care budgets. 2.3 million older people have unmet care needs. Does the Prime Minister regret, and the Chancellor is sitting absolutely next to her, that he didn't put 1 penny in his budget for social care?
Prime Minister!
We have put £2 billion extra money into social care. We did that in the spring budget. But he started his question by referencing the record of the last Labour government on health. Well, you know, the last Labour government's record on health, their NHS legacy was described as a mess. We're clearing that up. We're putting more money into the NHS. But who was it who described Labour's NHS legacy as a mess? It was the right honourable gentleman. When he's running for leader, he denounces the Labour Party. Now he's leader of the Labour Party, he's trying to praise it.
Jeremy Corbyn!
Speaker, can I give some... Mr. Speaker, if I could quote to the Prime Minister something she might be familiar with. If the government wants to reduce the pressures on the health service and keep people out of hospital in the first place, then it needs to tackle the chronic underfunding of care and support services in the community, which are at a tipping point. Who said that? Izzy Seacombe, Conservative leader of Warwickshire County Council. Mr. Speaker, the question was on social care, but the issue is about the NHS as a whole. It's there, Mr. Speaker, to provide care and dignity for all if they fall ill. But our NHS goes into this winter in crisis. Nurses and other workers, no pay rise for years. NHS targets not met for years. Staff shortages, GP numbers falling. The reality is mental health budgets have been cut, social care budgets been cut, public health budgets cut. The Prime Minister today has shown just how out of touch he is. The truth is, Mr. Speaker, our NHS is being recklessly put at risk by her government. That is the truth, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
The right honourable gentleman is wrong because NHS funding has gone up. He's wrong because social care funding has gone up. But, you know, not that long ago, the right honourable gentleman was saying that he would be Prime Minister by Christmas. Well, he was wrong. I am, and the Conservatives are in government. Not that long ago, he said we wouldn't deliver on phase 1 of the Brexit negotiations. Well, he was wrong. We've made sufficient progress and we're moving on to phase 2 of the Brexit negotiations. And not that long ago, he predicted that the budget would be a failure. In fact, the budget was a success and it's delivering more money for our National Health Service. Labour, wrong. Conservatives in government delivering on Brexit, a budget for homes and the health service, Conservatives delivering a Britain fit for the future.